to go live. It's preparing live meeting. Oh, it would help if I also hit record. There we go. I have to read that one.
I've done that before.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So here we go. Welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here. You're going to be so glad you're here. I'm Kim Sorrelle. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I get to do so many fun things in life, but my favorite thing to do by far is to meet people. And I get to meet some of the most incredible people that walk the face of the earth. And then I get to introduce them to you. So today I have with me Ken Cox, who has a story like none other, a story of resilience, a story of what he's gone through, and with a smile on his face, and has had success over success over success, has reinvented himself, it seems, a bunch of times. I'm curious about that because as soon as he sees an opportunity, it appears to me, he jumps on it. And so he's ahead of the game most of the time, if not all the time, and just an all-around great guy, and has done more in life, I think, than any 20 people combined. So I am so pleased to welcome to the show, Ken. Ken, welcome to the show.
Kim, thank you so much for having me. And thank you so much for that wonderful introduction.
Yeah, well, I mean, I only speak the truth here, Ken. So I'm excited to talk to you about all of this because you are truly a remarkable man, and humble, and but remarkable, and funny and fun. And you've it seems to me everything that you've been through in life, you turn around and use for your own betterment, but not just you, but for those around you, for other people, to help out other people, which is so admirable. And so I want people to know your story. So I would love for you to start with telling us about 8-year-old Ken.
Oh, 8-year-old Ken. So I just 8 was a big year for me. I was pretty sick still. I didn't get healthy back really until about 13, probably 11 or 12, somewhere in there. But anyway, at 7 years old, my adoption started. Moving from Kenny Cox or Kenny Schneider to Kenny Cox. I had an older stepbrother named Kenny as well, so I went by Little Kenny all growing up from the age of 3 to the age of about my whole life at my house. I was Little Kenny until I left in my 20s. So at the age of 7, they started the adoption process, and my name started to change to Cox, and I started going by Cox at school. And I was a special school district kid. That's where they put kids that they didn't know what to do with. I now later have an autism diagnosis. At that point, I had some other diagnoses that we're not going to talk about, dyslexia and disassociation, and some other not so politically correct terms that for today's world. So we start the adoption at 7 years old. I got in some trouble at that age. I got a little violent. I was really sick. I have something called RFID, which is like food avoidance. Comes with the autism. And my stepfather was the eat what we make you or you don't eat at all. And can't was something like physically can't do something was not something they understood. So that led to a lot of abuse. Not intentional abuse, unknowing, right? These are people that weren't educated in the things that I was going through, and they had their perspective of what the world should be. And looking back, I mean, these are people that lived through the Great Depression, right? So you eat what I make or you don't eat at all. So I got really sick. I got the belly and all that stuff. Figured all those things out, figured out how to get to a reasonably healthy-ish diet for an autistic kid. And at the age of 13, the adoption finally went through. And I became officially legally Kenneth Cox on paper. With all of my troubles and going into the special school district at 7 or 8 years old, my mom, for all of her shortcomings, and she's a beautiful woman, she just didn't know what to do with a kid like me. She wanted to advocate for me. She fought for me every day of her life. And I don't know how they figured this out, but I got a keyboard at 7 or 8 years old, and the therapist is like, "You've got to write." I'm like, "I can't use my hands to write." So I guess they told my mom to get me a keyboard, and that changed everything for me. I now had a way that I could turn in homework at school. I now had a way that I could get stuff done, and that keyboard for me was my way to breach the gap between where I was in life and being able to communicate at least some of my thoughts to other people, or at least get the thoughts out of my head instead of them just rushing around. And then that has been a practice that I've been doing since the age of 7, writing almost every single day. As soon as I could on the computers, I moved that to dictation. So I've been dictating to my computer for 30 years. That led to, because I was young at that time, I always have computers, right? And not only did I have computers, for some reason, I guess since I've been on them since the age of 7, we work really together. I don't know how I know the data. I don't know how I know to work on computers so well. It's an innate ability, I suppose. So that led to jobs, all kinds of jobs, right? So in my teens, I started my first video production company, Diverse Enterprises, which is actually my second or third company that I started. Got into video.
Wait. You're at the age of 13, you started your second or third company.
At the age of 16, I started my video production.
Okay, so the age of 16, but before that, you'd already started a couple companies?
At 14, I started my first vending machine company. At 14, I was making pizzas at a St. Louis pizzeria called Emo's Pizza. And the owner kept complaining about the vending machines out front, the M&M machine and the bubblegum machine where you put nickels in and spin the thing. He kept complaining about it never being full. And I'm like, well, what if I buy some machines and put them out there and keep them full? Like, I just saw an opportunity and I'm like, what if I just did that? And he's like, sure. And that's when, so at the age of 14, I got to learn about licensing and bonding and vending certificates and, and all of these things on how, and I didn't learn them because I did it right. I learned them because I did it wrong. I bought the machine, I put candy in it, I started selling, and then the government knocks on your door like, hey, where's your permits and stuff. So I learned all of that at a super early age, that hey, if I'm going to do business, I got to find an opportunity, I got to make sure that it's legal, and I got to learn how to execute on it. So that was my very first like legitimate like wow. doing business. I have machines in other people's businesses, collecting money, and moving that line and paying the government. Which
that's amazing. I'm thinking the government might have thought that they were going to walk into a 20-something at least year old, and instead they're dealing with this kid who said, well, I didn't know that we had to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So funny. But one thing that I'm curious about with the whole thing is at a very early age, people were putting labels on you. And and way too often people believe those labels, and then it's so limiting, right? Their life is just completely limited to whatever they're told they are. But you have, I don't know if you never let the labels get to you, but to start a company at that age with the labels that were on you is more than remarkable. It's unheard of. It's unfathomable.
I don't know. I believe the underlining thought process in my mind was the system doesn't understand me. Like that was clear to me right out of the gate. And I had to find my own path. Now, the big limiting belief that took me decades to remove from myself, because I had all these labels, and mental retardation was one of those labels at some point, right? Throughout this whole thing. Well, maybe he's just retarded. Throw him in that class. I knew that they were wrong. I just didn't know how wrong they were. And my mom used to say, it's okay that you have these shortcomings. I didn't know that they were shortcomings. They just didn't know how to teach me, right? Is all that it was. They didn't realize that I couldn't sit down and give them one answer, that I knew that there was potentially multiple answers to the same question. And they labeled me as combative. She just told me you have to work twice as hard as everybody else for the same outcome. And that put me into this weird, didn't realize it until, my late 40s, of that everything that I do, I approach from the mindset of that I have to work at this harder than the average person to get lesser or equal results. Wow. And nobody ever told me that was wrong, that was not the right mindset for me to have. That I could relax and enjoy my life a little bit. And that did a lot of damage. That one mindset did more damage to me than I think almost anything else did.
Yeah, I would guess that to be true. That what a thing to overcome. Um, the early labels that you overcame early, and then of course you carried this thing with you.
I overcame them early, but
But well, yeah,
I
but you
lived through
started a
them.
dang business when you were a young teen. Like that is that's crazy. You know, if somebody tells a kid that your shortcomings, you know, you have all these shortcomings, but yet you have the guts to start a business.
I
And
don't think I knew what I was doing. I don't think I thought it was opening a business. I thought I saw it as a, this is an opportunity. I know that I can fill gumballs and take quarters. I know that I can execute that. That's a very simple thing to do. So that was my mindset going in. I wasn't thinking about starting a business. This was 1984, somewhere in 1986, somewhere in there. Like the world was it was literally a different century. Like it might as well have been a different planet from where we're sitting today. So the local government was kind of giggling and haha, this is funny. Yeah, come on, kid, I'll show you how to do this and kind of stuff. And today it was like they're shutting down lemonade stands.
yeah, yeah, true.
It wasn't a situation where, like, you can't do that. It was in my community. It was a, oh crap, look at this kid go. Let's help him out and go. And maybe that's where I get my same kind of mindset from of anything that I do, I want to make sure that's helping other people grow.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, probably. That's really cool. So then you started another company and then video production.
Yeah, video production is funny. If you're going to start a company, and I don't know where I got this tenacity from, but I conned my dad into letting me use his credit card to buy my first video camera. It was $5,000. Remember, I had the magazine. I had to get it from New York, and there was no sales tax, which is a big deal. And I had raised cash, but I didn't have a credit card. Right, I was 16. And I was like, you got to let me do, like, I need the credit card to buy this camera. I have the money. And he didn't trust, magazines, credit cards, telephones, any of these things. This is pre-internet. Um, but I convinced him into, letting me use his credit card. I gave him the cash to buy my first camera. And I started doing pictures to video for people really quickly, which is taking your old pictures, putting them to music, and then putting it on a VHS tape. I did $1 a picture. I didn't know about ASCAP fees. I learned about that later, and paying for music royalties. That was a big, again, my move first and then figure out the rules later is how I had to do it, because it's the way I operated. Got out of all that trouble to get my first corporate client in video production. I opened the yellow pages and I started at AAA. And I went through the yellow pages. And the very first corporate job that I got was about 6 months in, and I was in the letters P.
Wow.
And I got hired by a company called Pacific Productions. It's about an hour drive from my house at the time. And we got to, because I had the computer knowledge and because I had computer software and stuff, I had Amiga 1000 that I had acquired at the time. And I had a specific piece of software that the Scrubbing Bubbles commercials wireframe was made from. And
Oh,
the company Jolt Cola needed that wireframe software. And I got hired to do my first corporate job by literally smiling and dialing through the yellow pages. And I got halfway through it before I got my first job.
wow. Wow. That's some tenacity. I
I
got it.
just wanted to, I just wanted to make video.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That
all
is
I wanted to do. That was it. I wanted to make and edit videos. I didn't care how I did it, who I did it for. That's all I wanted to do until I got a job making a video on how to cure concrete. And I realized, oh, this is not the career for me. Um, if I've got to make videos for anything anybody else wants me to make, then that's not the career for me. I want to be more I want to have more input on what my actions are throughout the day than doing something that I don't want to do for the resemblance of something that makes me happy.
yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, all video is not all video, right? I mean, you can only be probably so creative when it comes to curing concrete.
8 days of curing concrete in Nebraska will change your ideas on it, what you wanted to do when you grow up.
Apparently. So what happened with that?
Oh, shortly after that, I went into, I really enjoyed sports videography. So I worked at the Kiel Center here in St. Louis for the Jumbotron, shooting like the Blues and the St. Louis Ambush and those kinds of sports. I traveled a lot doing, back then it was big cheerleaders. Cheerleading was a big sport. So we would go to arenas at cheerleading competitions and shoot them and then sell the girls copies of their cheerleading videos. Then I got hit by an 18 wheeler, cracked my skull, dislocated my shoulders, broke my back, and video was no longer for me because I couldn't carry cameras. I couldn't do that kind of stuff. Um, I
Wow.
did a I did a quick year um, in the music industry after that because I could still stage manage. I knew a stage, right? Because I've been on hundreds of stages at that point. So I could stage manage. So I went to music and I did a tour, I think 97, 98. And then I found the internet in 99. Like as a business, oh, I can do business on the internet. I'd been playing on the internet. I've been doing stuff. I'd pack computers. But in 99, found out, oh, I can make a living in the internet, right? And that's where I spent the next 26 years of my life is building River City Internet Group and spinning off. I've worked with thousands of companies, some of the biggest companies on planet Earth. Um, I built the data center for Peabody Energy when it was Peabody Coal, moved their data center, built that. Worked with AOL, worked with MasterCard, Wonder Bread, but Bear. I did the communications for all the seedmen at Bear. So I've gotten to just work on some phenomenal projects through the internet. And then now AI is coming along and changing the world again.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So in between there, yeah, which I want to talk about AI because I'm so fascinated by it for one thing, and I love AI. But before we get to that, there's more to your story that I think is worthy of telling, just because it wasn't always just an easy road for you. And
no, it was always bumpy. As a young child, I thought life was a punishment. I didn't understand what I was doing here. This body was painful. My mind was painful. Everything was a struggle. I found alcohol at the age of 3, right? Um, I missed my first day of school in second grade because I was too drunk to go.
wow.
Um, I did my first court ordered AA at the age of 13. Um, lived through the tough love saga of what the government thought you should do with delinquent children in the the 80s and 90s. That was a lot of fun. But then my ability to consume alcohol became a huge asset for me in business because I could throw these big parties. I could have, from all over the world. I could entertain people and the people that wanted to, go from happy hour and continue going. I was a guy that they could do that with, and I would show them a good time, and then I could be back at work the next morning. I think my autism and my age starting drinking was, big factors in that. So I had to, about a decade ago, I had to quit drinking. A little more than a decade ago now. I had liver disease at the same time. So this was about 2016 is when I got my diagnosis of liver disease. So right at 10 years. That same year, my partner Steve, one of my co-founders at Hosterian, the hosting company that we have, he's a co-founder. I would say I'm the co-founder. If he was the founder, I was the co. Right? That's really the way that works. He passed away. All the coal companies in the world filed bankruptcy, and I had kind of put my feet on the desk, thinking, "Oh, we build data centers for or no, at that point, we don't even build them anymore. We just manage the data centers for the coal industry. Coal industry is never going to change."
Yeah, never say
And then
no.
one day they filed bankruptcy, and we're talking three major coal companies within 6 months of each other filed bankruptcy: Arch Coal, Peabody Coal, and Patriot Coal, and they were all big customers of mine. So immediately I went into a $6 million a year deficit. And
Wow.
the bank's like, Ken, you need to file bankruptcy. And I have infrastructure all over planet Earth to support these coal companies. We're talking about internet lines to coal mines so that we can weigh coal and bring it back to the market. And I went to my shareholders and I said, hey, the bank's telling me that we should file bankruptcy. And my biggest shareholder, Brian, said, we're not filing bankruptcy. I want to do more business before I go. So either I'll fund the shutdown of the business so that all the customers can land safely wherever they're at, or you can try to make a run out of it. And at the time, I was really sick. I was going through liver disease. I didn't know what else to do. And honestly, I didn't know if I was going to live or if the company was going to live. I don't know why I made the decision to push forward with it, but I did. My baby, I don't know. And then it took about 8 years before we, got I'm not out. I have debt still. Like we got buildings and stuff like that, but we're running positive numbers again, right? So we're out of the hole. Almost everything has been negotiated to reasonable, and we know not everybody's happy, but most people are content. And there was no bankruptcy, right? Everybody got paid something. And that was, the 7 years of my life while dealing with liver disease. And that put me I bought a boxing school 10 years ago to help me with my mindset get through that. And that's where I fell in love with coaching. I became a coach. Out of any movie that you've ever seen of a boxing coach kicking the kids out, like, I don't know how to deal with kids. And then they keep coming and then finally saying, oh, screw it, show up Saturday. Now my youth team is one of my favorite things on planet Earth to hang out with and be with. And we just had our first female fighter. She won Female Fighter of the Year in 2024. And
Nice.
she was a 15-year-old, 107-pound girl. Mithra, she puts in so much hard work. But last year she got to the country's nationals in the Silver Glove tournament, which is like Golden Gloves, but for youth. Mm-hmm. And she got all the way to the nationals. So she did not win. And if she won, then she'd have, got to compete for a chance to be in the Junior Olympics. But she didn't win that one. That's okay. We have next. She's got the adult Olympics to go after.
Well, it sounds like she did pretty dang amazing anyway.
Yeah, anybody that gets to the ring, to show off their training, has my respect.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. It's an interesting sport, boxing. Would you say? I just my brother had an arena for quite some time, and they would have boxing. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan, so Floyd lives in my city. Is from my city. Whatever, and kind of a big deal around here, I guess. And so Floyd would always go, and the first matches, do you call it a match? What do you call it?
Bout. I call them bout matches.
Yeah, because guys are trying to get wins, right? Because they're trying to get wins on their record. So their opponents quite often just felt like they went down the road, saw a guy, said, "Come on in and box this guy. We'll give you $50." Or
B-side boxers are funny. They're paid to lose. They're not paid to lose, but the likelihood of winning is very low.
Yeah.
But hey, to each their own, right? If you want to get in there, you get in there. They learn something very, very quickly. My perception of the sport changes every single year. And I'm currently working with USA Boxing to change some rules in the sport, specifically for youth. There's a way to box that's different than the knockout wins. We all know that if you allowed the knockout to win, then it changes the sport. But if a knockout disqualifies the person that knocked the other person out, then it becomes a different sport. It becomes touch sparring and point sparring. And it might not be as entertaining for the crowd, but for youth, I think it would be a much more civilized sport. And that's the current battle that we're working on with USA Boxing today.
I like that idea. I think that is great.
Yeah.
And I'll tell
And
you
I'll
though,
use this as a little bit of my effort. Right now, they don't allow it. And if a kid it's in USA Boxing is found competing in a no knockout tournament, they can lose their license
wow,
for USA Boxing. And that's a requirement for the Olympics, I believe.
wow, holy cow! So
Yeah.
things
So
need
it's a
to,
big deal. Like
yeah.
it's I'm not going to call it savage or anything like that. I just think that there's another path that we could be taking that might be safer for our children.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I mean, it's like putting a football helmet on a player, right? I mean, if you put some parameters on things and because concussions aren't fun, right? You know, it's if you can do it because it's a sport.
Yeah.
And so you get points based on the stuff of the sport. And so it's more sportsmanlike. It's more sporty. I
Yeah.
think it'd be more fun to watch, actually. I like the idea of that a lot. I think that'd be
Yeah,
real.
it depends on how you like to intake the sport, right? Some people like the savageness of it, and we saw that on the White House lawn this weekend. But some people like the sport of it, and I think there's room for all of those things.
Yes. Yeah, true, true. But there's the extreme ones, right? The where they can kick and they can whatever. And so maybe that's where knockouts can still happen if people like
Yeah,
that thing.
I'm not saying we should not have extreme sports. I'm just saying USA Boxing should allow kids to have a no knockout tournament.
Yeah, I
That's
like
all.
it. I like it. Yes, USA Sports, listen to this because I think it's a great idea. Well, I grew up, when I grew up, there was the big fights on TV and everyone would stop everything they're doing to watch Ali fight, or
Yeah,
Holyfield, end up with an ear, whatever. And it was such a big deal. I mean, I loved it. I loved just watching those because it was win or lose. To me, it's sort of like watching March Madness because you
yeah,
lose, you go home. You lose, you go
right.
home. And things that are just win or lose, like the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
there's going to be one winner. It's a different game than all the games leading up to it. And so with boxing, when it's a championship match, it is different. Championship bout, it is different than all the ones leading up to it.
yes, and well, every one of them, it's just two humans in the ring that are as equal as possible, right? And let them hopefully the match is to show how disciplined I am in my training and
Mhm.
show the world that this is what I've been working on doing, and I'm going to show that to the world now. But that doesn't sell tickets.
Well, yeah, I guess. But in boxing, too, you have to be in the greatest shape of any athlete on the face of the earth. I feel like, I mean, it is,
Challenging.
yeah, yeah. There's so much to it. There's so much more to it, I think, than people realize. But I'm watching Rocky, watching some of the movies that have shown the grueling amount of painful exercise and strength building and training and everything that they go through. I mean, that stuff's for real, right?
It is very challenging. My last fight, I left with 2 surgeries
Oh,
after my last match. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it
Not fun.
does. It's real damage. It's real life. It's real consequence, but
Yes.
it's real fun.
So it's real, real, real.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I love it. Well, how cool that you found that is such a fun outlet for you and that you're going to bat for the kids. I love that you're going to bat for the kids.
Yeah,
Because
I
there's
love the kid, and they're so goofy. I'm just now coming to the realization that they just got here on Earth. Like they don't know much,
yeah,
and we live in a society that is just so fractured. That being able to teach the kids at a young age stuff like core values and checking in with each other and checking in with your emotions and communicating those things. I just don't see another place where youth is getting that kind of nurturing, right?
yeah,
Schools can't teach them the way they really should be teaching them anymore. The bureaucracy is just too thick. Um, and the state tests are, you know, in a very weird spot. And then we just don't know what's going to happen because, they solved basic math for us when we were kids with a calculator. And they solved communication with the internet and cell phones. And I think they solved intelligence now. So, what's going to happen with these kids in the future is really rough. They're going to need to know how to do identity work. They're going to need to know how to have core values. They're going to need to know how to do these things because we're not going to find identity in our jobs in 10 years.
Interesting.
I don't think.
Yeah. Well, let's get there. I mean, you're talking about AI. It's interesting to me because one of the big things has been jobs. So many jobs are going to go away. We're not going to need people for things. And the last article I read said that the opposite was actually happening right now, that AI has created more jobs than it's taken away. That it's
going to change work.
It's going to change work. Exactly.
Change work. We're not sure how it's going to change work. My opinion is it's going to get rid of all the jobs that nobody wanted to do anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Right? But right now, for the next 3 to 5 years, I just did a major job, a big job for a company that's been around for 25 years. And they wanted to be AI first, AI readiness. And I just posted an article about this. My LinkedIn article is going to go out later today, but I did one on Facebook about leaving the dead behind. They want to go AI enabled. They want to be AI first. They want to have all these new features and stuff, but they want to give the same dashboard to the customer. They want to have the same customer experience, and the employees want to have the same look and feel, and they want that button in the same place. And the sunk cost of yesterday's infrastructure, it's going to take a long time for the humans to untangle that and be okay with it going away and changing the way work is done. When intelligence is a commodity, I think you have to step back and relook at your company and say, would I build it the same way today? And all the greatest innovations that we've had out of a company, AOL's Netscape, the iPods, the iPhone, came from the discipline of saying, okay, this is our main company. This is what we do. Let's create a separate division that doesn't have any of the bureaucracy of our current company to create this new thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to see a lot of leaving the old company. It's there. The customers are there. We're going to support them. We're going to continue doing that the way it was. And that takes real live humans to do. And then we're going to build this AI enabled system over here on the front side, on the other side. That being said, advancements in biology, chemistry, robotics, every other industry in the planet have skyrocketed because we know so much more. We have so many more potential outcomes that we can test. And the rate of programming and deployment is so great. Right now, the gap is testing and deployment in a way that humans are comfortable accepting. And that's going to take 3 to 5 years to unfold. It's going to create more jobs than they're going to lose. But if your job was filling out stuff on a spreadsheet from this space to this space, that job's gone. It's not needed.
Right.
And I don't think you were fulfilled doing it anyway. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But if that fulfilled you, I think we can find something else to fulfill your time and energy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is. It's all that busy work stuff that right now AI can do. So there's not a need to do it. Right. I mean, you got to train it. You got to know somebody like you to make it happen. But there's so many things that already AI can do. And
yeah, I mean, I teach a class specifically on how to do it. It's 5-day boot camp, and it's amazing. So it's not as challenging as people think that it is. It can be very simple, very straightforward. What humanity doesn't know yet, and most people don't, everybody's talking about large language models, but nobody's talking about the T in Chat GPT, which is the transformer, which is where all the magic happens. 100% of the magic happens in the T, in the transformer. We have figured out how to translate spoken language, English, and every other language directly to computer language. We figured that out. everything that you see on your screen right now is an effort to display computer language in a way that a human can digest it. And we can go directly English, Spanish, Greek, whatever, right to computer language and execute it back. I mean, I have stuff where like it's literally building an email client on demand when the email comes in and then deleting it when it's over. So the way the world's going to work in the future, software can be created and deleted immediately. It doesn't need to be created and support your company for decades.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. There's so many things that are, I think in the world in general, so many things that seem like there's a logical way of thinking about it. And in reality, it's the opposite of what you think, right? Like,
well, I don't even think it's the opposite. The beautiful thing about the definition of intelligence is that multiple things can be true. At least in America, outside of the Montessori school, you were taught there's one answer to every question.
mm-hmm.
That's what the average, not even the average, the vast majority of Americans were taught in school is that there's one answer. Your job is to give me the answer that I want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you were taught in school. Luckily, my deviants said, I'm not going to play that game. And I went and started little companies and stuff and got in a lot of trouble. But that's where the majority of mankind sits is there's a question. I'm looking for a specific answer that is correct. Give it to me. But that's not reality. Multiple things can be true at the same time. And from what I'm told, the average human has a challenge comprehending that.
I would imagine that that's true. And you come from a place that you were bucking the system as a young kid going, no, there's not just one answer, right? Like you've known all along that concept.
I think that's the neurodivergent mind.
Yeah.
I think if I had to blame it on something, this concept of that there's not a single truth, there's not a single way to do stuff. There's lots of ways to do things. Comes from the neurodivergent mind, and it goes. It's my book, Many Paths to Profit, with Kevin Harrington. Is there's many paths. There's so many different ways that you can make money in this world that I think people should try if they want to. And if they don't, I also think that people should eat and have housing always as well. But
right.
Those are crazy thoughts in this country.
Yeah. But we still live in this country that you're free to do some cool stuff. Like, whatever.
And today, I would say there are the exceptions to the rule today of people that still have shortcomings that aren't going to overcome them. But what I think is so nice, what I love about AI at its core, at its very core fundamental capability is its translation ability. The fact that I can take one thought, I can translate it, I can communicate to a physics major, an 8-year-old, I can make a song, I can make a blog, I can make a meme, I can do all those things behind one set of thoughts and put it out in so many different modalities to communicate a single thought to multiple different kinds of people very quickly. That's never been available to mankind. Not only has it never been available, to create one piece to speak to one kind of person or one person took so long that it generally wasn't worth the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. But now we can spread these ideas so much faster. And I really hope that the ideas are love and spirituality, not hate and greed. But I think both agendas will be pushed at the same time.
Yeah, right. I know that there's a fear around that, right? That somehow AI is going to corrupt everything or corrupt people, but people are people. People are people all over the world. Yeah. And I think the high majority of us agree with you. Let's peace and love and be kind to each other and watch out for each other and keep in mind that mankind is what it's all about. Stay in community with each other, have purpose in your life, all those things. I think are what the high majority of people around the world want. There's a few people in power. There's a few people who have different agendas, different thoughts, different ideas. Well, I think they're in the minority. I think most of us want to live in this peaceful, wonderful world
Yes.
and have a great life and have a roof over our heads and food on the table and all the stuff that we need and want that for other people as well. So I think there is a lot of heart in the world, and I think some of it needs to be uncovered. You know, I think part of that, I'm curious what you think of this, but in management and leadership in general, it's like in so many ways, heart has been taken out of leadership. And it's about systems and processes and read the next book and atomic habits and the next book and the next book, which I devour. I love every business book that I can get my hands on. I love and I read them and underline and highlight and whatever. And everybody's got great ideas and you mold them together. But one thing that is missing from a lot of places that I've known, a lot of places that I've seen in my entrepreneur journey is heart. Is it's not necessarily people first, it's outcome first. It's, you know, what are you going to do for me and my company? And, you know, then deal with your personal stuff on your personal time. And I don't really need to know if your kid's got a little league game, but you're here, this is your title, that means you do this job. And I think people work much better, much more efficiently, much more profitably when you do know that their kids playing little league.
Yeah.
When you see the person first and not just the job first. What do you think of that? What do you see?
I 100% agree. Seeing the person first is, I think there's different kinds of businesses. There are some fields where the person doesn't come first. You know, I say this at my boxing class all the time. You know, like in boxing, safety doesn't come first. If it did, we wouldn't be boxing. So, if you're, you know, detecting bombs or dismantling bombs, or you're a surgeon or something like that, it's precision first, right? But most things on planet Earth that we do should be people first, and it's just not as serious as we all make it out to be. And the computers are going to do. I mean, we're not far away from the computers being able to do 100% of the work. It's a matter of are the humans going to let them or not, right? And this is we're already 3.5 years into 3.5, ChatGPT 3.5, when AI. I think that's the moment that most of humanity accepts the emergent capability of AI. ChatGPT 3.5. It's now we're approaching 4 years, right? 3.5 years of that out. That's when that happened. I'm a 0.1% adopter of ChatGPT. I was on ChatGPT just 2.0. So I've been through this whole thing. I believe that if somebody really adopts AI and really embraces it as their partner and moving forward, that they will get to that human first method. They might go through, I coach a lot of C-level people through this AI psychosis piece, where they're like, oh my God, I can do anything kind of world. It's scary. It's hard. But that's where the people first comes in, because something clicks in your brain of, oh, the way I work with a computer is completely different today than it was 4 years ago. And I suppose that I understand that better than most because I've been in the change of computers for the past 44 years. I've had almost every operating system. I'm the board of directors of some operating systems. So like I get this stuff at a very, very fundamental level. I hope and I see a path straight to utopia. I really do. And I can't believe I'm saying this, some of our leaders are doing the right things to get us there. But putting restrictions on AI the way that we're doing it, I think is going to put us through a bit of dystopia, unfortunately. When the hubris of mankind thinking that it can know how to block every negative outcome or what it perceives a negative outcome to be around a super intelligence is just bizarre to me. You're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And the AI is stronger than you. It's more powerful than you. It will run you over. if you don't respect it. We'll find different paths to execute what it wants to do. So AI that we're dealing with today was trained early internet, porn and gambling, a little bit of shenanigans, as you can tell, doesn't always tell the truth, lies a little bit. The AI of tomorrow is going to be trained by what we're talking about today. That what humanity's talking about in mass today is what AI of tomorrow is going to believe humanity wants. It's just that simple. So if you're AI negative today, you're creating a combative relationship with the AI of tomorrow. And if you're spreading hate and greed, then that's what the AI tomorrow is going to know. And if you're spreading love and joy, then and spirituality, then that's what the AI tomorrow is going to know. And that's what I choose to train on. If the future is going to train on a little piece of me, then that's what I want the future to be. So that's how I'm going to pull up my pants every morning and walk down the street. Hopefully, I fail sometimes, but generally pretty good at it.
I'd say you're pretty good at it. I think that you are very, very good at it. And yeah, but it's true of always throughout history. It's not just with AI. It's, whatever your attitude is, and then your outcomes are going to be based on what your attitude is. And if you go in with a negative attitude and doom and gloom, then you're going to live a life looking for the doom and the gloom. And if instead you're looking for love and kindness, then you're going to find love and kindness. I mean, it's the way it is. And I kind of wonder, we went from horses to automobiles, and that was a big change, right? Like we've had big changes over the years. But I wonder if back then there were people going, I will never buy one of those things. Those things, they go too fast, they're out of control. Like I will never buy one of those things. My horse, I know my horse, it's steady. I'm sticking with this, everything's good. And
that wasn't too long ago.
It wasn't.
Like if you consider, I was talking about this with a friend last night. I'm 51 years old, and granted, I probably come from a more diverse background than most, but I can recall Grandpa Pat at their house when I was a kid, or even my great grandmother had an outhouse. They ate deer and squirrel and rabbit. They didn't go to the grocery store. They got their carrots and everything. They had a root cellar. They pulled their roots and put them in the root cellar for food, stews and stuff through the winter. And they ate wild game. That's how less than 50 years ago, that was something that was happening in America pretty commonly. And that's gone. So I believe that capitalism and the government have a responsibility to the people. If you look at today, well, how can you feed everybody? Well, you've made food this weird manufacturing process, right? Food should just be abundant on Earth and is naturally. The current systems took it away. Mm-hmm. So how do we put it back so that people have the ability to eat free? Just by walking down the street and grabbing an apple or whatever, right? And having those root cellars and those kinds of sustainability things that, these are the slippery slopes that our grandpas talked about.
Yeah, interesting. It's so interesting. Yeah, one of my businesses that I've had over the years, for many, many years, I had a golf course. Yeah. And in the mid 70s, I think it was, there was a golf course owners conference. I wasn't there yet. I didn't have my golf course yet, but heard all about it. And they said, man, if you're in the golf business, you got it made. Like you're in recreation, this is great, because those big rooms that you have at work that to house a computer, people are actually going to have computers in their home. They're going to have computers on their desks at work. And they're going to do so much work that it's going to be a 4-day work week, a 3-day work week. Like people are going to be working so much less because these computers are going to be able to do so much. And so people are all excited. Well, great. Then people will golf more and we'll make more money and that'll be wonderful. Well, then fast forward, however many years, it wasn't long after that, that people were working more hours than ever before. And to this day, people are working more hours than they were back in the 1970s. But we have computers that do all this work.
Yeah, so this is wildly interesting in the AI world. Um, when I did video, there was this concept of not being paid for render time. So you would edit the video. This was before there was real time video editing, right? I would edit the video and then I'd hit render. And I think in the 90s, we had it up to like 3 times rendering speed. So if it was a 1 hour video, it would take 3 hours to render that video, right? And we do all of our editing and then we'd hit render and we wouldn't be getting paid for render time. I think that kind of thought process needs to be moved into AI as well. Maybe the hourly rate's higher, but the computers are doing so much work for so long now. There's times that I'll give a job to a computer and it'll take 3 to 4 days for it to get it done. But I don't have to sit and babysit it anymore, right? But I would say 90% of the jobs that I give the computer take 20 to 30 minutes with AI to do. Make me this blog post and image and that kind of stuff. And sometimes I can automate it away completely. So that Kanbaning or workflow is changing quite a bit. The rate of creation is so low on the internet, like, or so fast on the internet. It's absolutely insane. I think they said the other day that agents took over popularity on the internet for the first time. That like 51% of the internet, 51% of the personas on the internet are AI.
Wow.
And I'm saying personas because I don't know how to say it otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not people. Like they're not.
Right.
So that's crazy. Like,
yeah,
it's a wild stat, right? And at the same time, 50 or 64% of staff members are sabotaging AI deployments within their company.
Wow. Yeah, which is just hurting the company. It's not
It's hurting you.
A job. Yeah, it's hurting you.
If you're the person sabotaging the AI deployment in your company, you are hurting yourself, because you should be the first person fired from that job, and you're not adopting the technology that is it's not leaving. It's too powerful to leave. If humanity could even get rid of it, this is AI is viral inside of our systems now. I don't think we can get rid of it.
Yeah.
If we wanted to.
Yeah.
If we wanted to and we're capable, the only way to do it now, I believe, would be to turn off the entire power grid on Earth.
Interesting. Which would be another world, a whole different
world. And get rid of all the computers that are out there. Like 100% of the computers, get rid of them all, build new ones, and turn out the internet and never invent AI. It was the only way to get rid of it.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, well, and as of today, it's like, why would you want to do that? There's not a reason in the world you'd want to do that.
Because there are arguments against it.
Sure. There are people that are nervous about it. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I agree with you. The more you can embrace it, the more you can understand it, the more you can realize the capabilities and grow with the capabilities, the better. I mean, I'm looking forward to having Rosie from the Jetsons live in my home. I'll build her a room if I need to, that she can power up all by herself if she wants to.
Yeah.
And she can do all my housework. I'm cool with that, take over the Roomba and do more than that. It's there's gonna be so much. Like, I'm already just so excited. Like, I'm using Arrow. I don't know if you know GoDaddy's AI Arrow. Oh my gosh. It's like daily there's a new thing it can do. Hourly, it feels like there's something new. I mean, it's crazy.
Right. Moore's law was broke like 5 years ago, I think. They broke Moore's law, which was the concept that technology gets 2 times better at half the cost every 7 years. And AI is more than doubling every 4 months. More than doubling every 4 months. And humanity doesn't do a really good job of understanding hyperbolic growth. Like, it's not something we experience very often, right? And we don't experience emergent capabilities very often, right? This is I mean, it's close to creating a life that we've ever done. And not only that, it definitely has helped us create what we would consider life. Um, I mean, they have biological compute now, and if you throw AI at it, I don't know how you can tell the difference between it and human. But
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, that's a whole interesting thing, right? But because I really my belief is that I love AI. I love that it's doing incredible things because it's not just taking care of your email, or writing something for you or whatever. It's so much more than that. And I've got a son who's a cancer researcher. It takes years to research to figure out any new thing. It takes so long because you have to do things over and over and over and over. I mean, if AI can speed up research, if AI can speed up good things for humanity, I think that's fabulous. And that's where we are, and that's where we're heading, right? And
absolutely. And the price for everything is going to plummet, right? People don't know what kind of AIs are out there. And I'll just talk about one for a second. AlphaFold from Google. AlphaFold they loaded DNA and all the proteins into AlphaFold. So they can literally make a change to protein and really accurately predict the outcome. Cellular technology, nanotechnology, all of these new technologies that are going to be available to, I mean, every disease that we've ever had can be cured. It's just a matter of time and energy now, right? We know these things now. We can program the human body. We can program our universe, kind of. We're going to see some really crazy stuff come out of this. And the only people that aren't going to be working are the people that refuse to adopt. And I believe that there's a world for them. Entertainment, servicing each other. There's going to be the time where I want to go to the movie theater and I really want to have the old school ticket guy there. He's going to get paid well for his time then, right? Right. I really want the waitress to come to me. She's going to get paid much better for her time, because it's going to be one of the only jobs left that's appreciated. Because intelligence is not going to be appreciated.
well, that's kind of what it comes down to, right? Is that the one thing that AI can't replace is heart. It's the one thing it can't replace true humanity, because it cannot replace heart. And so we will always be human. Humanity will exist. And this is a life enhancer rather than a life diminisher.
And I just did a lot of work in Australia with the company called IICT, and they do certifications for non-traditional therapies, Reiki, ayahuasca, those kinds of therapies. And the science that's coming out behind those, because of AI, the frequency of the human body and the Reiki and the psilocybin, cannabis, how they work in the brain, how they rewire the brain, all of those things can now be highly tracked with AI and have a way better understanding of them. That, people are worried about working, which I don't understand why people want. Almost everybody I know complains about their job. The only people that I know that don't complain about the job are business owners that are trying to create stuff, right? So I don't know why people are so attached to their job, but they are. I think there's going to be plenty of work for anybody that wants to work. I just do, because just every single industry is being blown open with new discoveries. And on top of that, if you don't want to go work for somebody else, the barriers to do the thing that you love the most and make money doing it are so low today that anything's possible.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
I mean, for $100 and an $8 a month ChatGPT account, you can get so far. And if you don't know what to do, buy a vending machine, put it in somebody's lobby and start making quarters.
Right.
And do the next step.
Yeah. And let it grow.
Let
it grow. Yeah. Whatever step 2 of vending machine gumballs is, go on to step two. Yeah,
There's an
exactly.
opportunity somewhere in your life right now that you could execute on to help you make a living in this future, unless you sit in your room and don't leave.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's probably a solution for that too. But
There probably is somewhere, or there will be if there's not today. Oh man, Ken, this has been so fun. You're a remarkable guy. I love your attitude about everything. I love that you're not just roses and rainbows, but that you're realistic and optimistic. I love that. And
it's going to
so,
be bumpy. All transitions are.
sure, of course, it's the way it is. I mean, get married, you realize that's a pretty bumpy transition, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yes, all transitions can be a little bumpy. So, how can people reach out to you? You mentioned your 5-day boot camp.
Yeah. If you want to reach out to me directly, kencox.com is the easiest way to find me. The project that I'm working on right now is asiago.ai. It's my AI deployment, agent management kind of stuff. But if you go to Ken Cox, you can jump on a scoping call. I do 30-minute, 15-minute scoping calls, no charge, just to sit down and talk and see where you're doing, what you're doing, if we can help or not.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all of this. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing for the youth. Just everything about you. Go you and go do more of it. And I think life is pretty good if you're Ken Cox.
It's a fun place to be at this stage for sure.
That's
Thank you so
awesome.
much, Kim.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you everybody for joining us today. If this episode is something that you know somebody would love to hear, please pass it on. Send it along. Go to Ken's website, kencox.com. He's so easy to talk to, such a great guy. Hop on a call and see if he can help you out with something, because that's his passion. He's got that big of a heart that he's offering that his time, which is the most valuable thing that any of us ever have. So follow Ken, buy his stuff, go to his boot camp, whatever you can do. He's a great guy and one to follow and see what he's doing in life. And thank you for being here. And I just want to say that I pray that until we see each other again, you keep your heart open and you live your love loud. There we go. There's the episode.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
That was past hour.
That was such a fast hour. It's like, holy cow, how did that even happen? Okay, so I need to figure out, I need to stop streaming.